The heartbreaking story of a Michigan mother, Rebecca Kiessling, who lost both her sons to fentanyl poisonings in 2020.
She gave a gut-wrenching testimony before Congress this week. Rebecca Kiessling joins us now. Rebecca, thank you for joining us. And I want to tell you what, I was a former member of Congress, and I thought your testimony in front of the House was some of the most powerful testimony that has been given in that chamber. But would you just do us the benefit of telling us about your sons and what happened to them?
Yeah, my sons, Caleb and Kyler, were 20 and 18. As my son wrote shortly before he died, that his failures don't define him. And he was an extraordinary young man. He had been vice president of the student council. He was an A student. He graduated early. Very, very intelligent, was going to go into the Navy, scored a 90 on the PCAT test. My son Kyler was just an amazing athlete. He was always a helper. All their teachers said how they had the best manners and always said please and thank you and hello, and just amazing boys. However, they got caught up in experimenting with drugs, sadly, like so many young people, despite all of the warnings, and they ended up with fake Percocets the night they were celebrating Kyler's graduation. And the fake Percocets turned out to be all fentanyl. And it killed my sons along with 17-year-old Sophia Harris.
Rebecca, your testimony connected with so many Americans, people who are grieving their own losses of loved ones and family members to fentanyl poisonings. Tell us about the reaction to that testimony that you've experienced, things you've heard from people across this country.
I've been getting just about nonstop email messages and on all my social media from other parents who lost their children, primarily from other parents who haven't felt that they had a voice and haven't felt like that they had the strength to speak up. I mean, I don't necessarily feel like I do either. I'm super broken, but I was asked to do it. Because my boy's story was high profile, because 3 young people died and 2 brothers at the same time. So they're, sort of cheering me on. And then I also have received a bit of hate messages, people suggesting that I raised my children to do drugs, and that somehow I think that doing Percocets is okay. Taking illegal Percocets, like, of course not. I had a message a little bit ago where someone said that I should be the next to die. And as if that wasn't bad enough, then President Biden mocked the fact that it wasn't under his presidency.
Rebecca, I'm a father of 9 kids, and the strength that you have to tell your boy's story, I know they're looking down on you. So proud of you for having the heart and backbone to tell your story. You just mentioned what Joe Biden said about you. I want to play that clip right now.
She was very specific recently, saying that a poor mother who lost 2 kids to fentanyl, that I killed her sons. The interesting thing is that fentanyl they took came during the last administration. Anyway, I don't want to get started.
It was hard for me in that clip, Rebecca, just not how heartless it is to you and those other parents and families that are victims of a drug overdose, especially fentanyl, but it's the fact that Joe Biden actually lost his own son to cancer, Bo, and his own other son has a drug addiction problem. And the insensitivity to a grieving mother who's from the heart telling her story. What message do you have for Joe Biden after hearing his comments?
What is the matter with you? What is wrong with you? Somebody asked me, like, oh, did he just misspeak? Like, really? You're the president of the United States. Like, you shouldn't have to think about it. Like, this is the outflow of his heart. This is who he is. And I think it explains a lot why he changed his whole border policy. I don't think he cares. I really don't. I don't think he cares that over 110,000 have died in the first year of his presidency. There was an increase 22%. Tens of thousands of more people died when he changed the border policy. And I don't think he cares. I really don't.
Rebecca, have you heard from anyone in the White House today?
No, not at all. And somebody just told me that there was a press conference and at the White House, and they were asked about whether he was going to apologize, and they just said, "Oh, it wasn't intended for me." He was talking about, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that people are just twisting his words. Like, no, you don't get away with that. So many other parents are furious, and their kids did die under his watch.
Rebecca, I know a lot of families, a lot of Americans haven't had a son or a daughter or even someone in their neighborhood who's died from a drug overdose like this. You have given...
It wasn't a drug overdose.
No, I know
it
it's
was poisoning.
It was a poisoning, that's true. But you've given a face to this crisis, and you speaking out with such passion and such heart, I think has made everybody know someone who has lost a loved one from, as you said, a poisoning.
And I can speak for Sean too, Rebecca. We both, I know, went home and prayed for you last night. And we pray for every family who has lost a loved one to fentanyl poisonings. We pray for all of those grieving, all of those missing someone because a life was taken because of fentanyl poisoning. We pray.
There have been moms in the support group who have committed suicide. It's really hard to survive this.
We pray for strength for you. We pray that you can pick up your feet every day and take a step forward and keep doing what you're doing, because your voice is so important to trying to fix this problem, to make sure that more lives aren't lost.
Rebecca Kiessling, God bless you, and thank you for joining us and telling your story on The Bottom Line.
Thank you.